Thanks everybody for tuning in to some regional interviews that MCH is doing. Our goal of these is to be able to show the fact that there is a need for more resources into our shelter system across the entire state. Today, our guest is Jen Theneman, who is the Executive Director at Partners for Affordable Housing in the Mankato region. She's a part of lots of great advocacy work, a leader in our community and the state. So I'm just going to dive right in. So, Jen, shelter beds. We know there's not enough across the entire state, but can you kind of expand on what is the need? Do we need more shelter beds for your part of the state?
Yes, I think anybody that you talk to would say we need more. I actually been working at the shelters the last couple of weeks, and I'm once again reminded of how many people truly are in need. The calls just keep coming in, people looking for help immediately that night, in the near future, because they have to leave their current situation. There's just way more demand than we have beds for, and we would love to be able to house people. We just don't have the physical space to do that.
Right. And this is coming from, Partners has done great work, and you've been creative in creating more bed spaces. You've responded to COVID. So just hearing that from you speaks volumes to the need. Along with the need for more shelter beds, is there also a need for more resources for shelters to be able to operate?
Yeah, I was just reflecting with someone last week about, we're really trying hard to do this good work and to do it with very few resources. And the word that I was living with last week was really scarcity, in the facts that we're trying to do so much more with flat funding, which has changed a little bit during COVID, but the hope is still that we're serving more people with that funding. And so, our expenses and all of those things go up just to operate as status quo. And then if we look at, we need to add more beds, serve more people, there's more expenses to do that. And we are not a top heavy organization. I think we just really work hard to squeeze, every single dollar. But there's a lot of stress that comes with that, and it also really limits our vision in terms of how do we serve more people. We don't have the resources to really dream. It's more of a, how do we put the band-aids on what we currently have, which is really challenging and limiting to us. So, and I've heard that from other shelter organizations as well. Everybody, the state, the federal government, wants us to serve more people. However, it's like, how do we do that? And the conversations I've had is, what comes first, the shelter beds or the dollars to operate? And sometimes those funding opportunities are one or the other. And we could say, yeah, let's make more beds, but we don't have the finances for more staff, more, electricity, all of those things, or even capital to build a building to house more people. We can't do one without the other sustainably, and we're not being good stewards of our dollars and our resources to just kind of go out on a limb, because there might not be anything to support us, and we would really hate to close our doors if we took that leap of faith and then didn't have the funds to support it. So
Right.
it's a challenge.
Yeah, you really hit on a lot of key points there that we're considering as we go into the 2021 legislative session. You talked about you're just able to respond and you're doing band-aids. You're doing a great job doing that. But what happens? What are some of the consequences if we have to keep just doing band-aid fixes? What are the consequences if we don't get more beds, if we don't get more resources?
Well, I think that there's a lot of, obvious issues that, there seems to be more need for shelter beds. And certainly during this COVID-19 time, there, I feel like we're just on this cliff with the eviction moratorium, that we have a lot of calls now. It's cold. There's always people that are needing housing. There's people that are, needing to leave their, maybe it was stable housing because of lack of income. But then we look at all these people who aren't able to pay their rent and they're going to be evicted soon. What are the options for them? And we already were not keeping up with just a typical need. And now you add COVID-19 to that. So I think it's just a really scary time. We don't have the space. We also, fundraise and do a lot of things, a lot of grant writing, et cetera, to just sustain our operations. We've canceled 2 fundraisers. We have another one that's postponed. So private donations are down. So, just in terms of resources for us to just sustain, that it's worrisome. Um, More and more challenges, I think, for the people that we are serving in terms of lack of income. We're not able to, get them housed so we can bring in more people, and mental health challenges are certainly becoming more and more prevalent. We've got kids distance learning at our kitchen tables. It's especially kind of crazy. But I think another big challenge for us is the toll that it takes on our staff and organization as well. We have a really dedicated, caring staff, but we've had a lot of conversations just about like mental capacity and, not burnout necessarily, but there are days that are just really challenging, and that's we already pay less than the market rate, et cetera. And so that's a really important resource that I'm trying to kind of uphold and keep together as well. Um, just because it's taxing, on our team. And the last thing is, as a housing provider, we provide shelter, but we also provide other housing options. We are also a landlord, and so with the eviction moratorium and not having supports for landlords, that money the little bit of money that we get at charging below market rent for permanent housing options helps us sustain our shelters as well. And so with people not paying their rent and we can't evict, it's actually going to impact our shelters as well. So just lots of kind of things coming at us from all different directions, it feels like.
Right. Yeah, there's so much of a need out there to prevent homelessness in addition to trying to end homelessness. So thank you so much for your time, Jen. Thank you for your leadership, not just in your part of the state, but for the entire state. If you're somebody that's watching this video, hopefully like you can hear what's being said during these interviews. You can carry that forward to your advocacy at a local and state level. But again, I just thank you for watching, and thank you for allowing us to interview you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep, have a good one.